You know, you talk about transparency. We've been talking all morning about the Oval Office meeting between Zohran Mamdani and President Trump.
Highly transparent.
And I'll tell you who's being pretty transparent about it are the socialists and what they think. We talked about, we wanted to bring this to you. So the World Socialist website says this. Zohran Mamdani's first acts as mayor-elect seek Trump meeting, keep NYPD Commissioner Tisch, and protect Hakeem Jeffries. Inside, it says less than 3 weeks after Democratic Socialists of America member Zohran Mamdani won the New York City mayoral election, garnering over 1 million votes, the mayor-elect is quickly revealing himself to be nothing more than a standard capitalist politician. In the last 72 hours, it has been revealed that Mamdani reached out to Trump for a meeting, publicly pleaded for and accepted as police commissioner, current police chief Jessica Tisch, and lobbied against a socialist challenge to New York Representative and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. And that, by the way, was written the day before the meeting. Imagine what they think now. And that's why I thought it would be helpful for our viewers to sort of go into a little bit of that if we can. Come with me now over to the wall because I want to talk a little bit about that. Let's start with Hakeem Jeffries. Now, we saw a challenge. Chio Say, a New York City councilman who is fully a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, jumps in to primary Hakeem Jeffries. And what is Mamdani's reaction? He immediately starts lobbying, saying, well, I don't think we want to get rid of Hakeem Jeffries. We might need him. AOC as well saying we don't really need the socialists. That certainly isn't going to make the socialists of the world very happy about it. But this is the wall we're showing of, remember, the Wall Street Journal called it the rise of Mamdani's Red Guards. Well, already one of the rising Red Guards is getting flack from Mamdani. Let's go to New Jersey, though. You've got Ladorny Namorum challenging Representative Richie Torres, a full-on far-left and socialist policy-leaning person. We'll see where that goes. But this one's really interesting. Representative Adriano Espaillat, a long-serving member, getting a challenge from Avila Chevalier, who is a leading member of the Justice Democrats, who led the anti-Semitic protest here in New York. And we just had this past week, the Park East Synagogue being really aggressively protested, blocking entrances, shouting hateful things. Her group was part of that. We don't even know what Mamdani has said about whether he condemns that attack on the synagogue. In New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill, now the governor-elect, vacating that seat. And you have Analila Mejia, another far-left progressive with socialist tendencies playing out there. And out in California, it gets interesting, too. You've got Saikat Chakrabarty trying to take Nancy Pelosi in a primary, a far-left individual. Those are all congressional races, guys, by the way. There is one local one, because remember, we haven't seen a national socialist win yet. It's all been at the mayoral level here in New York and out in Seattle with Katie Wilson. But this one's one to watch. Mayor Bass, who is up for re-election next year, against Ray Huang, who is a full-on self-avowed socialist, much like Mayor-elect Mamdani said. And he said at the Oval Office yesterday, guys, I am a self-avowed Democratic socialist, but I think it's worth pointing to these rising Red Guards of Mamdani. And the question is whether or not any of these socialists can win at the national level, something certainly Bernie Sanders wants to fuel. But I thought it's really interesting to sort of lay out who these people are and start watching them. And that'll tell us whether or not we're seeing a rise of socialism truly in America.
We definitely are. I got to just, the wall was fascinating. The races are interesting. But the Mayor Bass and Huang, I mean, Mayor Bass is a communist. I mean, she spent her summers in Cuba working with with Castro's Revolutionary Youth Guard or whatever. And so, like, that's like a communist versus a full-blown socialist. I don't know. Good luck, LA.
It's a commie fight.
It's a commie fight.
Yeah. That race is not getting much attention. And it's such a great point, Rachel, because, again, while she is a far-left Democrat and made a lot of mistakes, only look at the LA fires, you certainly are now seeing in Los Angeles, looking at what New York did, saying, hey, we can go farther left.
Yeah, that's it. It is interesting that there was nobody on the right of Mayor Bass, who we know is far left, with all the mistakes she made, nobody from the right has risen. It's like, okay, the answer is is as liberal, maybe even more liberal than her, more radical than her. We'll see what happens. But definitely, your point is well taken. Socialism has been normalized in our country. AOC, Mamdani, these are people who openly embrace the title. They're not ashamed of it. Maybe their elders are a little ashamed. They still have their masks on.
Yeah.
But the younger generation does not.
And of course, the emerging divide among the socialists who are upset about Mamdani meeting with President Trump, Mamdani and AOC deciding to back Hakeem Jeffries is almost just too sweet to savor. But this is what happens when anyone reaches the throne of power and they sniff power. They can't help themselves. They immediately begin like a rearguard action to protect their own spoils. And that's what you're seeing from AOC. That's what you're seeing from Mamdani. They have decided that Hakeem Jeffries is a non-socialist that they can work with. And I'm sure that they're looking at President Trump and thinking that maybe, Mamdani thinks maybe there's something I can work with him as well. But it goes back to the central point of these people. All they care about is access to power and holding power. That's all they care about.
If you need any more like visuals of it, just watch Lord of the Rings.
Yes, exactly.
You'll understand what's happening.
This is human nature.
Tell you the plot.
It's as old as time.
Yes, it is.
It's true. And one thing that we'll be watching about, the socialists are very upset about Mamdani keeping NYPD Commissioner Tish.
Yeah.
And whether she continues to cooperate with ICE, as she has been removing illegals, continuing to use the SRG, the Strategic Response Group, when protests that are unsanctioned become violent, sending them in, it's going to be really a flashpoint.
That was a trap. That was a trap he put her in. He
so
put
much for defund the police.
Yeah.
They have abandoned that.
I love it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.